Well, speaking of Spotify, we Lupe had put up a tweet that said, you know, he warns artists that Spotify is not your friend.
Okay.
And we did an article about it, and he responded and said, Vlad isn't your friend either.
Mm.
And normally I don't respond to anything like this, right? I ain't going back and forth with you motherfuckers. You know what I
Well,
mean?
what is it? What, are you living your best life?
I'm living my best life. I ain't going back and forth with y'all. Okay. But I felt this was actually an opportunity, where there was a discussion involved, and, it's kind of an interesting topic. So I responded to Lupe and I said, you're right. The media isn't supposed to be your friend. They're here to do a job by reporting the facts. You may be confusing the media for public relations, which is your friend because you pay them.
Mm. Mm. Well, first of all, what do you think he means when he said Spotify isn't your friend?
I'm not exactly sure, but obviously the streaming...
I would think he's talking about money.
Yeah, the streaming model is not designed to make artists rich. You have to have a lot of streams to make a little bit of money, a lot. And ultimately, Spotify takes a nice chunk for being the platform. And, for an older artist like a Lupe, who was used to, selling actual albums for $14.99 or $9.99 and so forth, yeah, I'm sure it's quite painful to now be in this situation. When he said, Vlad isn't your friend either, what do you think he meant by that?
Well, I'm thinking maybe he's talking money also. You see? So the fact that you get a lot of interviews, you don't pay for the interviews, but you make money off the interviews.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So in that term, I believe he may be saying Vlad's not your friend because Spotify's not paying you and Vlad's not paying you.
Maybe. Me and Lupe, we don't have a speaking relationship these days.
That's just what I got from it. That's why I asked you, what did he mean by Spotify is not your friend? Because to then put you right after that, because I understand your point of what you say in the media is not being a friend, but if he's talking about something about the financial relationship between hip hop and
the media,
some sort of base.
Well, he actually responded to my tweet and he said, that's one more right for me, quote unquote right. Basically, yeah, I'm right again, because I said, you're right. The media is not supposed to be your friend. I didn't mention the money part, but he agreed with me. And I think that historically, the hip hop media wasn't really media. It was really more PR. You see what I'm saying? I think that traditionally, hip hop media was scared to report the facts. They were scared to get on an artist's bad side. They're probably physically scared of some of the, the more street artists. There's been lots of violence throughout the years between the media and artists. Mm-hmm. So, now that you kind of have a new form of media that might not be as scared as they were before, some artists may not like that. But ultimately, we're not here to be everyone's friend. I have a few friends, in hip hop, you being one of them. People who are regular guests are usually friends of mine to a certain degree. But, at the end of the day, I have to report on everything.
See, it's funny that you even mentioned that because now that I think about it, when I do go back, like, yeah, the old journalists kind of were there to be your friends. Like they were trying to be your friend. Like if they did an interview on you, it was to prop you up, to try to sell your album or whatever the case may be. It wasn't to necessarily make you look bad. And if they did make you look bad in an interview that you did with a motherfuckers was getting beat up and shit like that, in the 80s and 90s and shit like that, like storming into people's offices and shit like that. Like shit like that used to happen.
Right.
So yeah, it's funny like that it did kind of change into that almost a National Enquirer, like Remember when the National Enquirer was like just a joke paper, but
Aliens and the such shit.
but besides that, it was just about a lot of just gossip and like bullshit. But like we've almost come to a National Enquirer type society. You see what I'm saying? Where
Well, I think to a certain degree. I mean, with me, like the show I've always looked up to as the bar was 60 Minutes. 60 Minutes would sit down with you and they would let you have it.
Right.
And they would put it out.
Right.
And if you didn't, and a lot of times it had major ramifications. Like companies went under after a 60 Minutes interview. Like
Right.
policies changed. Like politicians responded. Like
2020
that's what
was
I've
a good one too.
Yeah, yeah. I've always looked up to that. So it's like when you sit down with me, we're gonna talk about some shit. You don't have to answer it, but I'm gonna ask the questions. And I'm not fucking around. So you're right. We don't have to be friends afterwards. We can go our separate ways and you can never come back. It's cool. It is what it is. But we gonna sit there, we're gonna get that story out. And this is where, a lot of the more controversial interviews that we talked about on the Godcast, which you can check out,
Well, maybe
came from.
Maybe also what he means by Vlad is not your friend is when you have certain people that get on your platform and almost confess to things that people feel like they shouldn't be confessing to. I guess they're trying to say, listen, he's not your friend. Why are you going on there and confessing these crimes and all this other shit that some people, own up to on this fucking channel?
Well, we ask about stuff that's past the statute of limitations, and we talk about people's previous lives and so forth. I never ask about what anyone's actively doing, and I never try to ever incriminate anybody and so forth. Now, if a person blurts out a bunch of stuff that I didn't ask, it is what it is.
When if they blurt something out, you see, Lupe is saying, don't blurt shit out because he's not your friend.
Well,
you blurt shit out
this.
kind of because maybe you thought that this guy was your friend. You see, I think that's what I don't know.
Let me put it like this. And I'm not going to
translate this. I'm trying to be a translator here.
Right. Let me put it like this. When I interviewed Lil Yachty, one of your favorite rappers,
dude, it's my student.
During the course of the interview, he blurted out something that was really ignorant.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And it would have gotten him really skewered by
wow.
Twitter and the media and everything else like that. And I hit him up and I said, I'm going to take this out of the interview because
this is something politically incorrect.
It was not politically correct. It was not racially correct. It was just had all sorts of problems in what he said, and it's never going to come out. We got rid of the footage, we cut it out of the interview and so forth. And I hit him up and I said, hey, listen, I'm going to give you a solid and take this out. And he's like, yo, thank you. And I hit up his management. I told him the same thing and so forth. So I look out for people because I'm not here to make people look bad on my platform. But at the end of the day, people are going to tell their story.
Right.
And this is why when you watch shows like, is American Gangster the Feds? Is Gangland the Feds? Like, are these documentaries that you see on Netflix, about major criminal figures? Are they the Feds? Like, I've interviewed some of the biggest criminals in history. Freeway Ricky Ross.
Well, even a publication like Dons and Divas.
Don Diva.
Don Diva. Yeah, like all this should be about drug dealers and you know what I mean? What the fuck happened back when and yeah, so I don't know.